So my name is Rita Lopidia. I'm the Executive Director of EVE Organization for Women Development and also the coordinator of the South Sudan Women's Coalition for Peace. My family moved from South Sudan to Sudan during the conflict. So I went to school in Sudan, and during the wartime in Sudan, I was considered an internally displaced person in Khartoum. So I went to school in Khartoum and got my first degree from Juba University in Sudan. And for me, it was a privilege to be able to finish my school, given the situation of the conflict in Sudan and the discrimination that people from South Sudan go through, especially when you are an African and you are a Christian in a Muslim-dominated country. There's a lot of discrimination, and it's one of the causes of the conflict in Sudan. So myself and my friends decided to come together and say, we have something to celebrate. We are able to go through the university. We graduated. We have the skills. So why don't we start something ourselves with the skills we have? So that's how we formed EVE Organization. And the idea was really to use the education we have to empower the less privileged girls and women from South Sudan. So in 2006, after graduation, we formed EVE Organization. So we worked with South Sudanese IDPs in Sudan. It was when the Comprehensive Peace Agreement was signed. So we thought it's important that we disseminate the agreement to let people know about the agreement, but also to train women on leadership. And as well as, having peace after a long time, it was just an exciting moment for us as a new organization as well. EVE Organization actually based its work on 1325, and we became the pioneer of the resolution in South Sudan, because remember, South Sudan was also going through a number of transition. And in 2010, we have the Sudan election. So we used the resolution to call for women to come out, to register, and to also vote. At the same time, 2011 is when South Sudan had the referendum to decide on whether we want to remain with Sudan or to secede. And that is where we also played a major role in terms of raising awareness to the local women, to ensure that women know what the referendum was all about, and they also registered to vote, and then they also participated in the voting process of the referendum. And if you look at the results of the referendum, the participation of women was very high. And for us as an organization, it was an achievement because we felt we contributed for South Sudan to be an independent state. Of course, after the country became independent, there were a lot of excitement, and my organization was already on the forefront. And we thought, this is a new country. There are a lot of challenges, but it's also an opportunity to ensure that women are not left behind. So we engage a lot in terms of ensuring that women participate in issues of the constitution review process. Women are also part of the decision making, and we started advocating for South Sudan to have actually a national action plan because we are so passionate about 1325. So we started lobbying, we started advocating for a national action plan for South Sudan. And in fact, through EVE Organization and our lobby with the Ministry of Gender, and by then we had the joint donor team in South Sudan, and with the civil society, we actually initiated the conference to bring different groups together to know about the resolution. And then that led to the process of developing a national action plan for South Sudan. The biggest challenge is the conflict, because in the context of conflict, a number of things come to a standstill, and in particular to women. When there is conflict, women are exposed to a number of challenges. One, the issue of insecurity. Women are displaced. They lose their livelihood. Some of them lost family members. So women become breadwinners in many communities. And also in the process, there is a lot of challenges around the early and forced marriages. It's also on the rise, and this is related partly to the culture, but also because of the situation of the conflict, where you find a family having too many mouths to feed. So if you can send away a few girls and so forth to keep to reduce the responsibilities that you have. This also is one of the biggest challenges we have in the country. It's a general challenge for insecurity for everybody in the country, but particularly it affects more women and girls. And we know when there is conflict, you will find that women do not travel by themselves. If you have to run from the conflict, women normally think about the children. They think about how am I going to spend the night? Do I need a blanket? Do I need to cook? So a woman always moves heavy. It only makes sense that in any resolution of conflict, that women are part in terms of giving their thoughts, in terms of sharing their experiences of conflict, to shape any discussion that is to lead to peace. And in the context of South Sudan, normally people see that the parties to the conflict mostly are men. And around the negotiation, you will see that it is those who carry guns that are given the space to negotiate. But as activists, an EAF organization being in the lead, we've been advocating for the space to be open for women. It has been an uphill task. It wasn't easy. And it is still a challenge that women face, although women participated in the negotiation as delegates, and a number of women signed the agreement. But the peace agreement or the negotiation or the peace process doesn't end with negotiation. It is the negotiation, it is the implementation, it is the transition, and then after the transition, there's supposed to be a free and fair elections to take the country towards democracy. So it is always a marathon for the women to be in some of these processes. And it is one of the challenges that women face in South Sudan, that the space is highly dominated by men, and women just have to assert themselves. So this is one of the biggest challenge that women in South Sudan face. Of course, it is not something unique to South Sudan, because it also happened in other countries around the world. We are really working hard that peace prevail in the country, and we'll be able to change the face of South Sudan into a more peaceful, more friendly country where you will all be welcome as tourists in the country.